I definitely feel like that's changed, but not as much, I think, as people want it to and expect it to. I was listening to this podcast about, I think it was with Scott Galloway, and he was talking about how much change and how much progress we've made from, like, in terms of just the feminist movement, right? Like, we went from women not be having the right to vote to, like, women being able to do basically anything besides get an abortion, right, legally, federally, in this country. But we did have a huge period before that happened of progression, and it's something to, like, look back on and be so proud of. And even though, like, right now feels really mucky and gross, I am still focused on that, like, positive change and, like, that kind of upwards trend, that is, like, just totally unignorable, right? Because you have centuries and, like, just so many years of women being oppressed, and then you have this, like, basically, like, 100-year period of, like, women just flourishing, over time, of course. But that progression is so huge and so vast. And so when you think about something like mental health at work, you think, when you went into the workplace, mental health was totally not something talked about. To now, we're talking about, providing people with free therapy at work, and talking about it, from, like, the perspective of CEOs on LinkedIn. Like, it's kind of crazy, and it's a really beautiful thing for me to watch. And I think we need to sometimes be reminded of that, of, like, how much progress and how different things are now than they used to be, especially when it comes to mental health in the workplace, because of this gap that we're now seeing, right, with, like, the younger generation coming in and expecting certain things, expecting a certain level of support, expecting their managers to be able to hold such sensitive conversations and be able to support them in the ways that they want to be supported. And I think we just need to be considerate and reminded sometimes of, like, well, think about how different things are now than they used to be when, your boss's boss graduated, and that's why we're seeing certain decisions being made that, like, might not be totally aligned with what we want.